In the previous video, a question was asked about the fact that there will be so many finds when one excavates at Omkareshwar. And so the question arises is, what would we do with these finds? And obviously, uh, the museum that is being proposed at Omkareshwar, both on the culture and heritage and philosophy of Adi Sankara and also on Adi Sankara, would be a potential place, for this kind of, for exhibiting these kinds of finds. So let us look at that. And there is a very nice idea that can be used to actually achieve something very grand. And I'm just going to talk about that in this video then. Okay. So first, let us look at the museums that are already existing for Adi Shankara. Right? There are a couple of museums. Right? One is this one, which is run at Vedal in Kanchipuram. Uh, it basically uses a bunch of small dolls, animated dolls, that describe the life of Adi Shankara. So all the incidents, the turning of the river, the Kanakadara, the crocodile catching Adi Shankara, and his interaction with Mandana Mishra. All these and many more are shown with these small animated dolls. This is basically a museum on the heritage and culture of India. And in that, the life of Adi Shankara and also the Mahaswami of Kanchi is depicted at this place. And I had the good fortune to visit this, and it's a pretty nice place. The other one is the Kanchi Court, which is in Raja Kilpakam, Chennai. And honestly, I would like to visit this place, but I never had the opportunity to do so. This is a museum dedicated to Adi Shankara and also the Acharyas of the Kanchi, Shankara Matham. Um, and there, I mean, I've just taken these images from their website and other public domain websites. It looks like a very well made museum. But besides that, I don't have much insight to offer you. I'm most grateful, all of us, I think, are most grateful to the institutions that built and continue to run these two museums. I really think they should be commended for being able to run these museums continuously. These museums, though, mirror the information contained in the biographies of Shankara. You know, I mean, that's whatever we know up to now is from the late biographies written between the 16th and 19th century, and hence they are far removed from Shankara's time and unreliable. Now, at Omkareshwar, I hope we can present uh, the life of Shankara in a more realistic manner, and correct the inaccuracies in the inaccuracies in these Shankara Vijayas. That is my hope. Okay. Now, this is what I have gleaned from a public domain site called oneness.org. The MP government apparently proposes to build a very grand, large museum at Omkareshwar. And curiously, the objective of this museum is to show the oneness through architecture. Now, they want to display various styles, architectural styles, excuse me, like Dravida, Kerala, right, Vesara, Nagara, Odia, etc. Several styles, and build this, large museum there. I want to make a suggestion about this, and I think it's a very interesting and very valuable suggestion. Omkareshwar itself is a living museum. I mean, there is only one other place that I have seen in Maharashtra. It is called Ter, okay, near Osmanabad, which is a living museum, and they also have a museum there. Yes, and they are expanding that museum. But Omkareshwar has several loose sculptures, ruins, temples all around in the whole area. Right? It's already a massive living museum. Right? You can't get anything better than this. Now, suppose, in the best case scenario, suppose that we indeed do the surveys and excavations that I have proposed in and around Khandwa district. Very important thing that we should do. If we do that, numerous artifacts, means potsherds, vessels, utensils, various kind of figurines, artwork, beads, so many things will be recovered, and hopefully some very important images also, maybe of Shankara associated deities, etc., will be recovered. Now, the important ones obviously need to be exhibited somewhere, but the others which have been excavated, they also need to be stored safely after they are clean, dated, etc. Now, some of these important artifacts can be exhibited, they can be exhibited to tell the story of both Omkareshwar, Khandwa district, and Shankara. Right? So I shouldn't say both here, of all the three things: the culture, the civilization, the evolution of the culture, architecture, all that in Omkareshwar, Khandwa district, and about Adi Sankara. There are, of course, numerous photographs of the important temples, etc., will also be in the excavation site, will also be there to be depicted. Now, the above situation where we have so many loose sculptures, ruins, etc., and also the artifacts that would be generated, if you will, from these surveys and excavations, I mean, they fit in very nicely with the objectives of the proposed museum, uh, the Madhya Pradesh government's proposed new museum at Omkareshwar. As I said earlier, some could be used to describe the evolution of the architecture, culture, worship in Khandwa district using these ruins and excavation finds, and some materials can be exhibited to describe the connection of Adi Shankara to the place. And I will come back to how this can be achieved. Okay, but bear with me for a minute. There's another important issue, right? We need to have at least a minimum of two museums, for national museums, for Adi Shankara. And why? We need one museum which is south of the Narmada, okay, basically somewhere way south, maybe Kaladi or someplace thereabouts, and one above the Narmada. Okay, they are both these museums are required mainly to store the materials that would be gathered from these excavations and surface surveys in both North and South India. That is the primary objective, okay, to store these. But the more important objective is to actually describe the story of Adi Shankara using some of the important finds. The museum at Omkareshwar could be one of the two national museums for Shankara. This is a thing that I voiced aloud. It can exhibit materials from all over North India that are excavated and also found during the surveys and excavations in North India. Obviously, this museum will also describe, Shankara's or display Shankara's connection to Omkareshwar. More importantly, it can serve as one of the two nodal centers for future studies on Adi Shankara's life history. And I think this last point, that also fits in very nicely with the MP government's objective of setting up a research center there. So what I'm suggesting is that this new museum that the MP government is proposing can actually be used, right, to depict the culture and civilization and the evolution of that Khandwa district, and also it can depict the life of Shankara using realistic materials found at Omkareshwar and in other places in the north too, which will be a very, very unique achievement, is something that has not been done before, right? So that is my first proposal. Now, the second proposal that I have is that this particular museum should be very grand, right? Now, here is one of the grandest um, museums that I have visited. This is the uh, Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and the most, you know, important and most grand, or the grandest, that's the right word, grandest display is the Temple of Dendur, an ancient Egyptian temple, which was actually moved all the way from Egypt, New York, and displayed there. Now, this is enclosed, in a glass house, if you will, right? And they have made an artificial water body internally around this Temple of Dendur. So this is one of the grandest displays, right? But imagine, in India, in Omkareshwar, we can do something like a Chandrayaan 3. This is the idea that I have. We can do something like the Chandrayaan 3 on Earth, right? By actually moving some of these ruins, some of these loose sculptures in Omkareshwar, and actually placing them inside a space frame or a truss, which can also take advantage of the backdrop of the Narmada, and you will have a very grand museum for the culture and civilization of the Khandwa district, and also for the life of Adi Sankara depicted using objects and materials gathered there. And people can also visit the living museum all around. This is my concept for the museum at Omkareshwar. And as I said, you can achieve something like a Chandrayaan 3. What do I mean by that? Something like the Temple of Dendur at a fraction of the cost on Earth. Okay, a very unique achievement again, like Chandrayaan 3 on in India, and it will tell the realistic story of Omkareshwar Khandwa district and also of Adi Shankara there. That is my proposal and concept and suggestion to the authorities in Madhya Pradesh. I hope they consider this. Thank you very much.